you are effectively wasting a ton of time. And I don't mean like not using the right strategy or practicing in the wrong way. I'm just meaning practicing something that you know already. That's what we do all of the time. And since we don't have an unlimited amount of time to practice and we want quick results, then this is really bad. Let's say you're practicing a simple lick like 6 notes up and down on 2 strings like this, right? Like that. I can guarantee you that in just a simple exercise like that, when it comes to alternate picking, you're effectively wasting 90% of your time. How is that? I don't care how you practice it at all, because there are different challenges in there involved. We got picking on 1 string, right? In fact, we got picking with the right hand, right? When we're talking about alternate picking, we don't talk about the left hand. We just talk about the ability to pick fast and then, of course, to synchronize it with the left hand. But in that matter, or with that perspective, when you pick on 1 string, that's 1 challenge, right? And because it's up and down and you need the accents and you can just stay in the same place. If you start messing around and going in other places, then suddenly you introduce the challenge of moving from position to position. Oh, what does that mean, Claus? It means that, there's another thing involved there, right? But if you go from string to string, let's just say you go up, instead of playing the same string, why not play 2 strings, right? You get more in there, you get more out of your practice time, wouldn't you, right? But no, because now I'm picking 3 notes on 1 string, then I go for the next note on the high E string with an upstroke. So I'm doing effectively an outside string shift, downstroke, and then to a higher adjacent string and upstroke. That's an outside string shift. That little thing, the outside string shift, is a challenge in and of itself. And then once you reach the highest note, then 3 notes on the same string follows, right? So you go 3 notes on 1 string, which is 1 challenge. Then you shift string with an outside string shift, which is another challenge, right? And then you play 3 notes on that string, which is the same as the first challenge, 3 notes on 1 string. But then you need to go back again, right? You need to go back to the B string once you hit the highest note, to the first note again, and that's an outside string shift again, but in the other direction. You pick up on this string and then you pick down on that. And that's just reversing it, Claus. How is that hard? It's a totally different thing in the brain. It's a totally different motor skill. And that's what we don't see. Because we have this compartmentalized understanding of everything, we just put alternate picking in a box. So what is alternate picking? It is picking strings with in alternate directions, going down, up, down, up. That's alternate picking. Okay, let's practice that, right? And we don't see that, as we talked about in the previous video, there's tons of different individual, very different challenges in there. My point is, you start picking away, right, on 1 string. You become really good at that. And then you say, okay, let's move on now, which means that now let's pick 2 strings. Because now, how many notes do you have? You got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And that is, right, 3 notes times 2. And in between, you have that string shift, which is your weakest link. Now you're pretty good at picking 1 string, and then you take that, which you're already good at. Let's say that the level of skill, just for the sake of example here, is at this level. Picking 1 string is here. Then making that string shift is all the way down here. But you put freaking 6 notes in between practicing what you could be practicing all the time, right? This is what you need to get up, because once you get that up to the same level as picking 2 strings, then boom, baby, you got some skill. But as long as this is down here, you can't really use these skills for anything other than just, picking 1 string, right? So in order for you to really progress, you need to stop wasting time practicing this and practice this instead. So you bring that up and suddenly your skill level will explode. Because most people, which is 99%, and please follow me here, because so many people say, oh, shut up, Claus, just give me a lick to play. It is these things that make you incredibly talented, or I should say intelligent in your approach, right? So once you start practicing this instead, right, and really getting as few notes in there as possible, you might want to skip the note so you only have a 2-note per string pattern, right? You only have the 8th fret and the 12th fret on both strings. See, now I only have 1 extra note. You need to put things in a context, because it's vastly different just doing the string shift, than it is to do it after you played the 3 notes on one string, right? So we still have to put it in as much of a context as we can. It's perhaps easier to understand if you practice a song. This makes sense to everybody, right? You got 12 different chords in a song, just another example, and you keep practicing these, but in between, there's just one chord that messes you up all the time. Most people would just play the whole song 50 times over and then stumble a little bit with that chord, unless you're just a little bit more progressive in your approach here, and you say, okay, let me just practice going from C, which is one of the well-known chords, to G, which is the trouble chord, right? So you go C, G, and then you stay there, right? You stay there and you loop that over and over and over again. And you got all the other chords up here. That's your skill level. And then you practice this in a loop until you got it up to speed. That makes total sense when we're talking about chords and songs. If you don't this, you're really wasting time when you're trying to learn a whole repertoire of songs. But it doesn't make that much sense in alternate picking because the challenges are hidden within there. So whenever, this is what you need to do for the rest of your career as a guitar player. You need to, whatever you're practicing, whether it be alternate picking, legato, hammer-ons and pull-offs, sweep picking, try to distinguish between what are you really good at in here and what's causing you trouble. And then see if you can create an exercise that isolates that. And for the outside ascending string shift, which is one isolated challenge, I would simply say how few notes can I put around that so I can practice it. So I go, this is of course just the string shift, but let me just put a couple of notes in between there. You will save, instead of only practicing effectively like a 10% of the time or 20% of the time, you practice effectively 100% of the time. That is, if you were putting in 10 hours of practice before, only one of these hours was actually effective because you're just doing what you're already good at 90% of the time. Now you're doing what you are not good at 100% of the time. You see how this, I've been practicing for 200 hours, Claus. Yes, but how did you do it? How did you go about it? That's why I talk so much. It's because the real reason why somebody would become a master of anything is here. It's intelligence. And we don't have that in the culture. We don't have that when we are taught guitar. We really don't. Because it's just looked at as one big box. We got legato, we got hum, and we say, okay, how should I hold the pick? How should I do this? And then we just start practicing and we get little effect. Some people intuitively do the right thing. Others don't. We call these talented, these not. Okay? So, from now on, isolate the challenge and then design a little exercise that you can use to absolutely kill it. And then go check out our alternate picking course because we got a ton of that in that. It is so focused on each and every little challenge within the alternate picking technique. And that's what we need to do. And we design methods and practice routines to really go from step 1 to step 2 and all the way up to mastery in record time. Go check that out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And I should say, you don't have to buy the course. Don't make that an excuse. Oh, I don't have any money to do it, Claus. Well, but then implement this principle. There is no excuse, right? So, hope to see you in the next video.